Before there was light, there was nothing to see it with. No sky, no ground, no time ticking forward, just an endless, formless deep, and something moving across the face of it. This is the moment human beings have tried to explain for over 3,000 years. Not how the universe simply began, but why. Why there is something instead of nothing. And almost every ancient civilization that left a written record arrived at the same haunting starting point. In the beginning, there was chaos, and then a voice. To understand the most influential creation story ever told, we have to go back to the cradle of civilization itself, the river valleys of the ancient Near East, where Israelite scribes, Babylonian priests, and Egyptian temple keepers were each, in their own way, asking the same question under the same desert sky. Long before Genesis was written down, Mesopotamian priests told of Marduk, a storm god who split the body of the chaos dragon Tiamat in two, her ribs becoming the sky, her belly becoming the earth. In Egypt, priests at Heliopolis spoke of a primordial ocean called Nun, from which a mound of earth rose, and the sun god Ra called himself into being by speaking his own name. Different gods, different voices, but the same ancient instinct. Order must be carved out of chaos, and someone divine has to do the carving. No human form, no face described. In the oldest Hebrew text, simply breath, wind, spirit, hovering over black water, not a sculptor shaping clay. A presence, waiting. This is where Genesis begins, and where it breaks from everything that came before it. Let there be light. 4 words, no battle, no slain monster, no struggle between gods. In the Babylonian version, creation was violence, a war fought and won. In Genesis, creation is speech, a command spoken into the dark, and the dark simply obeys. Scholars who have spent careers comparing these texts notice this immediately. Where neighboring cultures needed conflict to explain order, the Hebrew account needed only a word. What follows is structured with almost mathematical precision. 6 days, 6 movements from chaos toward order. On the first day, light is divided from darkness, and for the first time, there is a before and an after. Time itself begins ticking. On the second day, the waters above are separated from the waters below by a vast dome, the sky undocking itself from the sea. On the third day, dry ground emerges from beneath the waters, and the first green things, seed-bearing plants, fruit-bearing trees, appear, each carrying within itself the code to reproduce. Life before there is anyone alive to witness it. On the 4th day, lights are set in the sky, not as gods to be worshipped, which was the common belief of every surrounding culture, but as servants, markers for days, seasons, and years. In a world where Babylonians prayed to the sun and Egyptians worshipped the sky as a goddess, this was a quiet but radical claim. The lights in the heavens answer to something greater, not the other way around. On the 5th day, the waters teem with creatures and the skies fill with birds. And then, the 6th day, the day everything changes. Land animals are formed. And then comes the line that ancient readers would have found almost unthinkable. Humanity is made not as a servant race to feed the gods, as Mesopotamian myths claimed, but in the image of God himself. In Babylon, humans were created from the blood of a slain god to do the labor immortals were too lazy to do. In Genesis, humans are not labor, they are reflection, breath, not magic, not ritual. An intimate transfer, almost like a kiss, and the dust opens its eyes for the first time. He is placed in a garden called Eden, set somewhere at the convergence of 4 rivers, a location scholars have debated for centuries, with theories ranging from southern Iraq to the highlands of Armenia. No one has ever found it. Perhaps no one ever will. And from his side, while he sleeps, a second being is formed, not lesser, not an afterthought, but called bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. The first human relationship in history begins not with a stranger, but with someone carved from the self. On the 7th day, the work stops, not from exhaustion, There's no indication the divine grows tired, but as a declaration. Rest becomes sacred. A pattern is set into the fabric of time itself, one that would shape entire civilizations for millennia. 6 days of labor, 1 day of stillness. But the garden does not stay peaceful for long, and that is a different story. One that begins the moment innocence ends. What's remarkable is how this story didn't stay isolated. Echoes of it ripple outward. The Sumerians told of a great flood survivor named Ziusudra. The Babylonians called him Utnapishtim. The Hebrews called him Noah. 3 names, 1 memory, as if some catastrophic, half-forgotten event left its fingerprint on every civilization that came after it. Historians still debate how these stories relate. Did one influence the others through trade and conquest? Did they spring from a shared older oral tradition lost to time? Or did separate peoples independently arrive at the same terrifying truths about chaos, order, and the fragility of human life? There is no consensus, only theories, each with passionate defenders. What's undeniable is the reach of this particular account. Genesis would go on to shape the moral architecture of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, 3 faiths followed today by more than half the world's population. It would influence law, art, philosophy, and the calendar by which billions of people still measure their weeks. 3,000 years after it was first written down, people still argue about what it means, literally, symbolically, scientifically, spiritually. Few words in human history have been studied this closely, translated this many times, or believed this deeply by this many people across this much time. In the beginning, there was nothing, and then a voice, and everything that exists today can be traced back to that first impossible word. Whether read as sacred history or ancient mythology, one thing remains true. Humanity has never stopped asking how it all began. And for billions of people across thousands of years, this story has been the answer.